Nobody in their right mind will willingly walk themselves into a $500,000 debt. But yet, today's guest did when he was only 21 years old.
I was staying at Sentosa Cove that you can park a yacht at the backyard, man. But I was not happy. I was depressed. I was empty. Gangsters outside my house. They would threaten me.
I want to start this part of the story that doesn't make sense to me. Nobody in their right mind will willingly walk themselves into a $500,000 debt. That is life-changing money to me. You can buy a car, you can buy a house, but yet today's guest did when he was only 21 years old. Like, that is mad. And that is not even the crazy part. He didn't even have to. There was no law, no legal obligation. He could have walked away very clean. But not only that didn't destroy him. He later went on to becoming a millionaire and build a multi-million-dollar agency. So this is not a rags to riches story. This is a story of how difficult choices compounds into this man's success. So firstly, let's welcome Gabriel to the pod.
Hey guys, thanks for having me,
What's up,
man.
Gabriel?
What's up?
Very glad to have you. We're thinking about who are the legends around this area to invite, and your name came up. One of the first names. All right, we want to start by talking about childhood, right? And what we realize is that successful people often have weird ass teenage hobbies. That when you look at it, it's like, that hobby wouldn't predict their success, right? You don't know what Warren Buffett did as a teenager.
No idea. What do you do?
Investing.
That's what you would think, right? You would think that if he's a famous investor in his later years, he would be an investor when he was a kid. But no, he was delivering papers, like newspapers, right? But while everyone treated it like a regular labor job, he treated it like an obsession, like a giant spreadsheet, right? Because he was thinking about, while he was delivering paper, thinking about how do you, he owns the last mile, right? He was thinking about how do you cross-sell other things. So he was cross-selling magazines, calendars. He was tracking churn and renewing them even before the papers knew that they had to renew it. Right? And from this session, he saved enough money to buy a home before his first prom. Like here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. The thing is that he's learning a secret skill, right? That predicted his success. He's learning about unit economics, even when he was young, that helped him in his later businesses. So teenage obsessions, we love that. Josh, I'm sure you have yours.
When I was younger, I just sell Yakult door to door. But then I know that I'm cute. So then when the uncle opened the door, I ask for the auntie. Because I know that the uncle is not gonna buy from me.
And that made you a great salesperson, right? So
Yeah, bro.
Gabriel, what's your teenage obsession and how do you think that helped you in your later career?
Actually, that's interesting you asked that because I think when I was like really, really young, I kind of started selling, I would say. I mean, I didn't have much pocket money lah. So I'm always thinking of what are some ways I can just like earn extra pocket money. So then like, I think 7 years old, I would start to like sell erasers. I'll buy and flip erasers in a sense.
Oh, that was what I did also.
You know those country erasers?
Yeah. Back then, wow, bro, I bet you the Gen Zs don't know about this country eraser
I believe they have no idea what is that. But yeah, there's like some rare countries, right? Like Singapore or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I will trade lah. I'll find ways to like, you know, get that. And then after that, I'll sell it for like a higher profit margin. I think these are some of the things that like I realized that I was naturally drawn to. I was drawn to sales. Then after that, I was like, again, selling Pokemon cards. Yeah.
Damn.
Did you have a special strategy? What gave you an edge in selling Pokemon cards?
I have no idea. I actually realized that there are like certain, I think it's just like maybe knowledge gap. You know, like some people don't know how valuable a certain card is. Like I think I was offered once to buy that. What was that? Charizard, Charizard card, right? It was like the most.
Wait, you had a Charizard in your hands?
Okay, so that's the thing. My mom threw it away. Yeah, wow. Yeah. My mom threw it away later when, you know, that was very painful.
Wait, but back then there wasn't like a online platform to track the value of the cards, right?
No
like,
platform.
How was the value like determined?
I think it's just more like what people are willing to offer, to be very frank. I'm just asking people, hey, how much are you willing to pay for this? So I recall that I bought the Charizard card for like $50. I mean, for like a really, really young kid. I think I was 7 or 8 years old. I can't remember. It felt like $5,000.
Yeah, bro. Bro.
Yeah,
I cannot imagine it.
Yeah, I bought it.
Made you, if you don't mind, what made you so comfortable taking that kind of risk at 7 years old? Again, like if I had $50, I remember back then when I had $50, that was all the money in hand. I would like fight to I would defend that money with a gun. Like, what made you so comfortable betting $50?
I will just be a consumer, bro. I'll
I
take that
didn't see-
$50 and buy more cards.
I didn't see it as like a risk back then. To be very frank, I think I was just trying to get significance when I was in school because of my upbringing, right? So I have this, I think a lot of insecurities when I was young, and I wanted to always kind of like one up people, you know, and having that foil card just make me the cool kid. That's it. It's really that's
So
it,
it's
right?
like
So I
it's
think,
like a status symbol.
correct. It's just a status symbol, right? And money
Okay.
didn't matter to me. The status mattered more.
Yeah.
Right, so it wasn't some,
money
you know-
didn't matter at like 7 years old, bro.
Yeah,
Nobody
exactly.
knew what money was, right? But
Exactly, I
having that
remember-
foil card Charizard is like,
Exactly.
I'm top of the world, bro.
Yeah, I just want to tell people, hey, I got a Charizard foil card.
Right. That's your old version of buying a Lambo.
Yeah.
Something like that. Correct, exactly. So I think like I've always wanted to like earn more money simply because of like there is that part of me that wants to be significant. There's a part of me that just want to, you know, be the cool kid lah, right? Wants to have the cool toys. And I always like go up my school bus last time with a lot of cool toys on. You know, I have the, you know, last time got Walkman, for example, or like a portable TV. I have all kinds of shit lah. You know, just so that when I go up the school bus, I'm like the cool kid with all the gadgets.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because like most kids, they also want these things and then they just beg their parents for it, right? And if they don't get it, they'll just be like, my life sucks. But you decided that, okay, if my family cannot purchase these things for me, I will kind of go and get it for myself. What do you think that mindset came from?
Maybe it's a bit my mom, because my mother has always been a bit more of a contrarian thinker.
Okay.
Yeah, like she always challenged the norm. She always asked questions like, you know, if this cannot, can this really not be done? You know, is there no other way? You know, she's kind of like that. She didn't start a business. I think there was definitely one thing that was wasted. I think she didn't have the opportunity, or she were too afraid when she had an opportunity to do it. Because back then it's very different, right? Back then there's no information. You know, you want to read a book about how to start a business, it's so hard. Today we just like thinking how you have an AI and you just ask AI, hey, give me a business plan, right? But I think that's why it's very wasted. But I think maybe something about her rub off on me, like she's just questioning everything, no? Yeah.
Right.
Like
Right.
So I just this desire that I just don't want to say. I don't want to take no for an answer.
That,
I'll just find a way to
that's a good reminder. It's a good mentality to teach my kid next time also. Like just question. If people say no, like ask them why.
All right,
Like,
bro. I'm gonna teach your kid to always question you. Papa say no, I just keep asking him. Asking him blocking you. Okay, Tim, how can I make this happen?
If I were to think deeper, right? I mean, it wasn't for a really good reason, because I grew up in a family where I didn't have a lot of my dad approval. And that's something I also noticed, that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of high achievers today, right? Actually, all we want to hear is, son, I'm proud of you. So we keep achieving, hoping that it will give us some kind of identity.
Yeah.
Right? And then later on realize that actually, you know, we all we want to hear was like that, our dad telling us, you know, he's proud of us, regardless
And
of
realize that it still doesn't come.
Yeah,
No
still
matter how
doesn't.
many millions that is in the
exactly.
bank, it still doesn't
millions-
come.
Exactly. $1 million really still like, oh yeah, better save money. Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
tell
anyhow
myself in
spend,
the mirror every day.
Yeah. So maybe because of that, right? I mean, that significance was like survival to me, right? If you understand like human behavior and psychology, we are born with that need for attention, right? Because when you are a baby, you are born and you cry and nobody comes to you. That's literally life or death.
Yeah.
Right? So that wiring doesn't go away. If you think about it, the wiring doesn't go away. And as I grew older, right? Because my dad is always my parents are always working. I'm the only child, so I don't really have much attention. And I think because of that, there's some wiring where I felt like, okay, significance is really important. Like significance is important to my survival. Probably some kind of wiring that I wasn't aware of back then. I was still too young. And that's why it was like, okay, to say no to status, right? Or to just accept, that means it's accepting my death.
Right.
Right? Because if I'm a nobody, then might as well be as good as dead, right? At least that's how my psychology works back then. Yeah, so that's why there was no such thing as no. Like I'll find a way. Even if I steal money last time, I found a way to go and get it. So yeah, I was quite a screw up kid, to be honest.
As in, you were a very different kid because you always wanted to challenge the norm.
In a way, yeah.
But were you still following the Singapore path? Were you still doing the primary, secondary, poly,
Yeah, for
JC
sure.
route?
I wasn't aware of any other path, ma.
Right.
But there was always something in the back of my mind that no, that I cannot work for someone.
Mm.
I recall there was this dread where I was like 15, 16 years old, and I was just thinking about like, okay, after graduating, you know what, I'm gonna go like poly, and then I don't know, maybe hopefully uni, then after that, go out and get a job. I was thinking
Right.
like, wow, how am I gonna get a job, man? I'm probably gonna get scolded every day. I'm gonna be late every day. So just thinking about it gave me a lot of anxiety, So that's why when I was 16, right, someone recruit me to MLM, right, I immediately say yes, really, because it's like, let's go, man. Like, I don't have to work under the boss. I can build my own business. Back then, I don't know about business.
Right.
And that's why when someone recruit me to MLM when I was 16, I just said yes.
Right. So at that
Yeah.
point in time, you were already looking out for it. Was there
think so.
like a moment where you are like, okay, I really don't want to go down the typical 17-year-old route. I wanna start finding something else.
Probably-
Was there a moment where like that switched?
I don't recall a particular moment. I only remember that moment where I felt that dread. And I
Mm.
forgot when was that, 15 or 16 years old, where I felt like
Right.
if I had to work for someone, right, my life will be miserable. Okay, maybe, now that I think about it, it could be my mom. My
Mm.
mom. My mom had depression, and I think I kind of grew up seeing her. I think partly this is also the part where I felt like she was not living up to the potential of herself. And so she was just working a 9-to-5 job, and she was miserable, to be very honest, right? She will come back and she'll be upset. Maybe her boss wasn't very good to her. Or there were moments, I cannot remember exactly because I was too young, right? But I recall there were moments where she was just not happy with her job. And I also saw her life where it felt like, is that all to life? Right? She will wake up at 6 a.m., right? Prepare herself. 7 a.m., she will walk to the bus stop. Then she will take a few, because we stayed at Jurong back then, she will take a few bus stops to, what's that? Chinese Garden MRT station. Then she
Right.
will, go to work. So then squeeze in MRT, right? Squeeze in the bus. Picking up people don't want to go. People don't want to go to the back, right? That was like, wow, squeeze. Then another hour to reach the workplace, 8 o'clock. And then 5 o'clock, continue the same journey, squeeze. Then come back home, 6 o'clock. Then cook dinner, and then watch one channel, channel 8, like some 7 p.m. drama.
Yeah.
Chinese drama, maybe sometimes the 9 p.m. drama. That's it. Like, then
Right.
the whole day repeat. It was like, wow, I look at that, I was like, wow, is that the kind of life I want?
Right.
Mm.
So-
I was very grateful that she had to do that, right? So that she fund my life, right? So that she can feed me. But wow, I saw that, I was like, that's not a life I want, man.
So,
Yeah.
Gabriel, you saw that that was not a life you want. And I think that's something that's very common, right? A lot of people have seen that, they've lived that life for themselves, they've seen it in their parents, and they know that's not the path they want. But they often cannot figure out what is an alternative path, right?
Mm.
Where was the first time that, hey, you realize it's not just that I don't just not want this path, there is an alternative. I can find a path outside. When was the first moment of magic for you?
I had a friend who was trying to recruit me to the MLM. I was 16 then. He basically invited me to a coffee bean at this place called West Mall. I still remember that. I still remember that place. And he sat down and then he said like, Gabriel, do you believe that I'm going to be a millionaire at 20 years old? I was like, what do you mean? Nobody talks like that, right? I don't know anyone who talks like that. Like, do you believe that? So that I gave him like,
You all should
face, right?
slap me if I talk like that.
Yeah,
Audacity for you to say such things.
exactly. And then he said that, if you don't believe me, I'm going to take out this. Then he take out a notebook. Then this notebook, right, has a bunch of names inside. He said, I want to put your name inside if you don't believe me. I said, what is that? He said, oh, these are the names of people who did not believe me. So
That's
then when
his
I'm 20 years old, I become a millionaire. I'll call each one of them and I'll say, ha ha, I became a millionaire.
Wait, that's the pitch? That's
No,
the
it-
MLM pitch?
Of the
That
pitch.
is some Death Note shit.
Yeah, but okay, I'm grateful for the moment, because when you asked for the moment, right, I still remember that was the specific moment, because it felt like there was something he knew I did not.
Right.
It's like, why is this guy so confident that he's going to be a millionaire at 20? Right? Like,
Right.
in my mind, I would never think about being a millionaire. It's just like that's not even a concept I understand, right? Making 10K a month is like, whoa, like a big thing, right? But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
to be a millionaire, really? And he's like, he's so sure he's going to be a millionaire at 20 years old. So then I asked him, okay, tell me what you know, right? So he tell me his plans and all that. And then, of course, that's when they start to talk to me about the MLM, the opportunity, right? And of course, it sounds good, right? I mean, who don't want to be a millionaire at 20 years old? And then he passed me a book. He said, you go and read this. And guess what that book is?
Think and Grow Rich.
Awaken
Very
the
good.
giant within.
Home Secrets.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Wait, look.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Aiya.
The
So close.
classic MLM Bible.
Really?
Yeah. All
What is it?
MLM people need to read that
Poor
book.
Dad?
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki. So
Right.
I read that book. That was sort of my first like self-help book, like if you would call it a
Wait.
self-help book.
I've heard a lot about that book, but why is that part of the MLM Bible? What specifically about it that lends itself to MLM?
I think it's mindset and beliefs. Because if you don't even believe you can do it, you will never take action to do it.
Okay.
Right? So if you believe, that's why your capabilities, right, is always kept at your mindset. Like your skill set is always kept at your mindset. Your mindset is like a 5, then your skill set will never pass 5. Right? But if your mindset is level 10, your skill set is 6, your skill set will eventually catch up.
Gotcha. So
yeah.
a lot of that book is about upgrading your believing
Correct.
that you can do it, which is the core essence of what MLM is, right? Because the whole MLM is built on the premise of you got to believe that you can make it rich.
Exactly.
And that's why this book lends itself so well to it.
Yeah. Because the book did teach a lot of good principles that I think until today I still believe in them and I still kind of practice it.
Even as a 16-year-old, what was the biggest mindset shift you had to overcome to believe this? Because we all have our own wiring at 16 years old, right? It was like there are a lot of doubts, a lot of things that limited us. What do you think back then for you at 16 years old was that biggest switch?
There was probably 2 things when I read the book. The first thing is that he says that people who work a job will always be poor. Along the lines, I paraphrase. Basically, he was saying that, like, if you work a job, you will be poor for your life. So I think that kind of confirms what I've already been doubting. Right? I saw my mom, and I was like, I have this dread over wanting to get a job. So I think that confirms it. But I think the second most important thing about the book was that it basically said that the whole concept, the whole premise of Rich Dad Poor Dad is that he has 2 dads, right? He has a rich dad, which is not his real dad, his friend's father. And then he has his real dad, which is the poor dad. Yeah. So then he started saying that the poor dad will teach him things, right, that keeps him poor, such as like study hard, go to school, study hard, don't ask questions, follow instructions, and get a job, save money, right, which is the traditional route. And he presented in a way, today I know it's marketing, right? He basically presented a new way. And the new way is that rich people don't do that. And that's what his rich father taught him, that you need to buy assets. And then he goes on about his definition of assets and all that. But I think in short was that I was given a new path. That okay, there's actually this path that I do not know, right? It's because I don't have the so-called rich dad. And rich people teach their kids different things. And that began my journey of like, okay, what do these rich kids learn at home that I am not learning?
Right.
What is it something that I do not know?
Right.
And that was probably the beginning of me searching and of course starting to read a lot of books. I think reading has helped a lot. Then from there I started reading like Tony Robbins books. Then your classic Think and Grow Rich. This really opened up my world. It's like, wow, there's such
Right.
such a world.
Do you still read these type of books now?
Nowadays don't.
Right. Like after a while, I feel like they're just repeating and paraphrasing. Just core concepts are more or less the same, but you repackage another thing. New York bestseller.
Yep. Exactly.
Repackage it.
Everybody's just repackaging shit right nowadays.
Yeah.
All the remix.
Yeah. So help me understand MLM, right? Because I only hear negative things about it, but I actually don't know what is wrong, right? Because it sounds to me like a very sound business model. Sounds like affiliate marketing. Sounds like you just ask more salespeople, you build a whole sales team, right? There are a lot of insurance, like a whole insurance organization is built similar to this, right? Why does MLM have this like negative connotation to it? And yeah, at that point in time when you entered, did you know about these things?
Yeah. I definitely don't. I was 16 years old. And I didn't have a business background. My parents are not business owners. So to be very frank, I don't know what I don't know. But to just maybe set the conversation, frame the conversation properly here, that the reason why there's a negative connotation to MLM is because not all MLM are a scam, but every Ponzi scheme is an MLM model.
Okay.
So because of that, because Ponzi schemes are usually MLM models, right? But not all MLM models, or not all MLM business are a scam. So there are the legit side of MLM. And the idea is that, if you start a business, there's a lot of things that you need to worry about, right? You need to worry about your logistics, production, your delivery, all the back-end stuff, right? All the operational stuff. And then you need to worry about marketing and sales, right? How to sell it and so on. So the idea of network marketing is that a person can start their own business. The company handles all the operations, all the delivery, all the R&D or whatever that's going on behind the scenes. And the person just simply helps to sell a product, like direct sales, right? The only difference with MLM is that you literally can build a team and you get some kind of overriding from a team. Okay, so normally there's some kind of commission system. So in a way, there is some potential to make passive income. Like if you have enough people in the team, everybody is just, hitting volumes and you will get an override of all the volume. So in a way, you're like kind of making passive income. This is why there was a lot of draw to MLM back then.
Right. Hey, Gabriel, I want to dive a bit into your skill set, right? So you were 16, someone showed you the matrix. Someone said there is a different path. Read a book, it upgraded your belief, right? What I understand is that from then you got into MLM and you became one of the top salespeople there. What were the skill sets you had to learn? What were the most difficult things you had to learn about human psychology, right? That helped you become such a good MLM person?
So in that 7 years when I was at the company, probably the biggest is like understanding universal human desire, if you will call it that. Like, what are you really selling, right? I think this one, like most business owner would know this, that Nike is not selling shoes. They're not selling athletic performance, right? They're selling inspiration that we can challenge our limit, for example. Kodak is not selling a camera. Kodak now is selling nostalgia, right? And all this is based on like universal human truths or desire, if you call it. So I think understanding that part of human behavior helps me to sell very, very well. Back then, I think I also read a lot of books like Tony Robbins' book, for example. I think one of the biggest takeaway was, there's only two motivators, right? Pain and pleasure. They're very simple, right? We do things to avoid pain and to gain pleasure. But there was a second rule. The rule is that we will always do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure.
Okay.
But then the third rule, okay? There's a third rule. When you have two pains, then you pick the lesser pains.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So
whether you want to be pinched in the nipple or slapped in the face.
right. So that
Which is worse? I'm still not sure.
that's the other thing about framing. So okay, the idea is that is basically the fundamental, most basic principles of like human psychology. Once you understand that, everything maps out from there. Right? You understand why people do what they do.
Right.
Why people still choose to smoke even though they know that it's going to get them cancer, because they are picking the lesser pain, because the short-term pain of quitting is more painful than the long-term consequences they were suffering.
Gotcha.
Right.
So for our listeners who's here thinking these principles make sense, but how do you practically apply it? Could you share with us, okay, you had these principles, universal desires, universal pain. How do you apply it in a pitch when you're selling your MLM product or recruiting?
So that's the question, right? I started asking myself, what is it that I'm really selling? Am I really selling a product? And okay, so then my company back then turns out to be a Ponzi lah. So we belong to the MLM that is a bit more like selling investments and all that. So not really a physical product. Okay. But the idea is that I started asking myself, am I selling investments? Am I selling a product? I'm not. What am I really selling here? Everybody is a bit different. And for me, I realized that I was back then 18, 19 years old. I was doing fairly well already. I was making about at least like 10,000 a month, fairly decent. And I noticed that I attracted a lot of people who were around my age, very young, right? Also lost in life, very similar, to want to work for people. I basically attracted people like me. Okay. But the thing is that these people like me, they don't have money to pay. So who is the real audience? Who is the real target audience that I'm selling to? Their parents. And what were their parents buying? Is their parents buying investment? I realized that no, a lot of parents came here initially when I was, okay, so what happened was that many of these people I recruited, they are my age, right? So they were convinced their parents to come down. Okay. And then a lot of my presentation is with the parents, not with them. Okay. And then as I present the stuff to the parents, I mean, I had like 10 appointments a day last time. So it goes with, of course, like repetition, right? The more you talk to your customer, the more you start to see insights. So that's why there's no way to skip this part. Like, the best market research is really just go and sell to 20 people. And then you start to see some kind of pattern, right? And I realized that the people who were buying, the parents end up buying. And some of them really invest like 10K, 30K, 100K. And I recall that my presentation wasn't really good also. Like, why would they buy? And then I'll ask them, hey, what made you sign up? What made you push? What pushed you to sign up? And I saw a pattern. A lot of them say that they want their kid to be like me. So they are signing up this whatever investment, and they are seeing it as I managed to frame it as like a street smart university, right? It's like you're going to pay 30K university anyway, and you have this kid that's just staying at home playing game, Dota every day, doing nothing, and you're afraid your kid is going to grow up to be a useless human being. And then you see a dream, ideal son that you hope your son will become, and you say, here's the investment, go and learn from Gabriel.
Right. They saw a role model in you, and at some point when you were selling, you knew that you looked like a role model that they wanted their kids to learn from,
Exactly.
and you pressed on that point, which then helps you to become like a top salesperson.
Yeah. So what was the desire I was selling? The desire I was selling was that they want their kids to do well. That was what I'm really selling. I'm not selling investments, right? I'm not selling any of the stuff. And that's where I leaned into that, because then I started building a team, and I teach a lot of soft skills. So one of the key things that we were very good at, we teach soft skills. And so these people are like 18, 19 years old, right? They start having manners. So imagine they suddenly go back home, right? So the investor, they start hanging out with us. Suddenly they go back home, and then at dinner, right? Because we teach things like, soft skills like law of service, where you service other people.
Right.
So imagine your boy is just, always at home just wanking or like playing computer games, basically like useless bum, right? And suddenly start dressing up, start talking with proper manners.
Right.
At
Wash
the
the
dinner
plates after dinner.
at the dinner table, take the food for the parents
Right.
first.
Wow.
Right. Then the
Wow.
parents go like, "What's going on to my kid?"
Hey, Gabriel, take more of my money.
Yeah.
I
you
want
know?
more of this.
So,
If I
so
understand
that was
correct,
what I was selling.
right. If I
Yeah.
understand correctly, the parents were not even buying for investment returns. They are buying because it's a transformation for their kids.
Yes. Now, of course, a lot of
Okay.
people did buy because investment means that ultimately they're still one of them. But what really pushed them
Right.
to really go ahead with, right, is that part.
Right.
And yes, even though it turns out to be a scam, I gotta be honest, even though it turned out to be a scam, a lot of people in my division, right, they all started going to do their own business, and a lot of them are very successful today because they have learned all the soft skills, all the sales and marketing skills required to do well in whatever business they're doing. Right now, this is not to justify that it was
For
good
sure.
for. I don't even know it was a scam, right? But at least if I can find I can find a poop in the. So I find a goal in a poop, right? This is the find a poop.
That is
Yeah,
Josh's
if I
life now.
find a goal, right? Then this is something that we have gained. Yeah.
And why do you think it was you that discovered that this angle of selling to parents' desire for their kids' transformation? Because other people are selling, right? They were probably selling by flashing their car, selling just the wealth desire.
Because it looks like you made it concrete for people, right? Like a lot of people can say that you can do this and you can earn $1 million, right? But that is not as strong as do this and you secure your kid's future, right? And yeah, you like, how did you figure that out?
So because I was talking to our parents, right? I was like, every time someone bring their parents down, I'll be talking to them. And it wasn't just a presentation I would sell. I would literally just have like lunch with them sometimes. And during the lunch, I'll ask questions. I will ask them, hey, what are they fearful of? Or like, what are some things that is stopping them? And I think it's just, again, like a pattern where I started to hear a lot of them saying that they are worried about their child's future. Yeah, they don't know what their kid is gonna do. Now they are like, nearly end of poly, or like their studies are not very good, right? Just playing computer games every day. So I started to notice that pattern, and I started realizing that that's actually what they are really, really worried about. That is we call it hot button, right? In sales, we call it hot button. What is the hot button that will push people over to the edge? So it's always a question I'm asking. What is the hot button for this person? What is the hot button for this person? And because I was asking the right question, what's the hot button? I will naturally start finding the answer. Right? I'll ask a lot of questions in order for me to find out the true answer. What is the hot button?
Right.
Gotcha. So that's an underlying skill set for you, the constant questioning, the constant radar of searching for what is the hot button.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So
There's
that
always
made you,
questions.
right. And that made you one of, if I understand, the top salespeople in your company. You were what, making 500,000 a month by the time you were 21?
Yeah, I was.
That's
That was one of my.
mad.
That was my peak income, but averagely I was making about 6 figures a month.
Bro,
That is
that's mad, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And at a point in time, you were high in life, right?
course.
You were 21. You were making more money than people make in like a decade, right? And one night you suddenly decided that you had to quit, right? I want to go back. I want to go to that moment. Like, what were you thinking? What was the math that you were doing? Like, how did you end up with making that decision to walk away from this life that I don't know people can just walk away? Like, it's insane to even think about it.
I didn't immediately left because I was so deep in the rabbit hole, right? Like, how do I leave that? And to leave that also means that I had to tell everybody that I was wrong for the past like 5 to 6 years, and that everything that I've told you guys is actually a lie, because it was a lie that I was being told. It was hard for me to come to that moment, but a few things that eventually led to that was the money part. I realized I was doing this mainly for the money, And like what I said, I was insecure, and by then I had the life that people envy. Right, I was 21 years old. I was staying at Sentosa Cove, which cost like 30K a month. It's a landed, not a condo one.
Wow,
The big,
balling.
big landed that you can park a yacht at the backyard one. I have pictures. This is true story. I'll host party. I'll be admired. There a lot of girls would line up, right? Because young and rich, and
Yeah.
I don't think I'm that bad looking.
Yeah.
Let the viewers decide.
Are you fishing for a compliment here? Because if you are, I'll tell you, you look fantastic.
So I had the envy. I had the life that people envy, but I was not happy. I was depressed. I was empty. I don't know why. I felt really empty, and I was drinking myself to sleep every single day. Yeah, and I'm not a particularly religious person, but I actually became a Christian when I was 14 years old. For some reason, my teacher brought me to church. Never been to church before. I went to church, and today, in hindsight, I think it was the peace of God. I felt a peace, and I accepted Christ. I don't know what I was doing. All I did was that, they did the salvation prayer usually. So like, okay, I accept Christ in my heart, all that. But I felt this peace that I cannot explain. Then, fast forward, I left church because I didn't understand what I was doing. And then I was in a very legalistic church. But long story short, I came back to this moment, right, where I was 21, 22 years old. I was depressed. But and then suddenly that moment was I was in my Marina Bay residence apartment. Okay. This is the place that after a party, right, I always get everyone to come to my place, right? So they'll be drinking, there's like after party until like the sun goes up. Then we will look at the view is awesome, right? Like, we're looking at MBS. So then you start to see like it gets brighter. And you can see the sea, right? So we'd be like smoking at the balcony. Yeah, we're smoking at the balcony. That was my life, right? Then I'll go and sleep, and I'll wake up probably at like 2 or 3. There was this particular moment I woke up. I forgot what was the time. Definitely was late. And there was a bunch of people in my house, right? A bunch of people in my house. And some of them I don't even know. Like, who are they? Why are they in my place? And I started to feel this like emptiness even stronger. And somehow I knew that, okay, this lifestyle cannot continue. Like if I continue this, right, I think I'm going to die young for sure. Okay. I'm not going to describe in too much details of the things, the lifestyle I was in. But there were all kinds of things I was taking. It was just like, I know that I cannot continue, right? But at the same time, I felt like I'm definitely stuck. Okay. So I recall another night of drinking. I was in my room. It's red, kind of like crying. Like, why am I so upset? Why am I still feeling empty and sad? And then I prayed. I say, God, if you are really real, you bring me back to church. Because I remember that peace that I felt when I was young. Okay, so for some reason, I always remember the peace. So I felt like I want that peace again. And I just pray, God, if you're real, you bring me back to church. Then long story short, through a series of events, a friend of mine, someone that I met, someone that I was partying in the club, just randomly asked me to go to a church. And I still remember the moment she asked me to go to church. I said, there's no way because it was Saturday, right? And we'll be drinking, we'll be hangover the next day. He said, no, this church got 5:30 p.m. Freaking no excuse, right? So, and then I was like, okay, maybe there's a sign from God because I prayed, right? So I went, and that was when my life started changing. It wasn't like an instant thing, but that was when I really got to know what Christianity is all about. It's not like a religion, it's a relationship with God, and that everything is really done for. Christ has really took all my sins and all the things that, because as I was in this company, right, the guilt I have, knowing that it's a scam and continuing it, the lifestyle I have, the drinking I have, the sleeping around, all this, there's a certain level of guilt. Right? There's guilt and there's shame, there's condemnation. And I felt like that was all lifted, that Christ has really took it away. It was like almost too good to be true. I was like, really? Christ took every one of this, all my shame and all my guilt and all my condemnation, he took it upon his own body. And that was when I first saw the love of God. And from then on, it was more like a relationship with God. I recall, this is when I was still a smoker. So I was smoking, I was at the balcony. And then I just felt this peace where like, okay, back then I didn't dare to leave the company because once I leave, right, I will lose my income. I'll lose everything. But I also know I cannot continue on this path because I'm not adding value to anyone. I'm just doing more harm, and I probably will get more and more in trouble because now I already know it's not a legit thing. Okay.
Right. So from what I'm hearing, like there is a lifestyle part that you were kind of like questioning what am I actually doing when I don't have there are friends that I don't even know that is living in my house. There is the money versus meaning part where you have all the money in the world to you at that point in time. You could buy anything that you want, but you didn't feel fulfilled. Right.
Correct.
And there was the spiritual part where it kind of brings you to kind of look for answers, and so happens somebody brought you back to church. I want to dive into the money versus meaning part. Do you think people can get to that realization without going through that lifestyle? Because your most common argument about people like, oh, these are just some rich people talking, right? Only your rich people can say these type of things. You have lived through the life to know that, oh, you need to find meaning. Like meaning is a word for rich people, right? Do you feel that you had to go through that in order for you to kind of find that?
For you to realize Lambo is meaningless, first
Yeah.
you must have a Lambo.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
first buy it, right?
If not, just poor, bro.
If not, you're just a brokey.
I mean, first thing is like, do you guys find a value in Lambo?
Is it I don't have so
Yeah, do you all buy?
I think I'm just not attracted to it. Yeah. So I don't know. Like it wasn't a draw to me. Yeah. I'm drawn to other things. It's just not the draw. And I think we kind of learned earlier on, or at least for me, I am very blessed that I'm surrounded by friends that don't care about status.
Great.
Like one very funny story is I went because after the acquisition I had like a private banker, right? Wow, suddenly you like young and you got private banker. Then I go there, he asked me to apply for some like metal card. Then I look at the card, I'm like, bro, the mouse like 0.8 mouse per dollar, bro. Like why would I ask the banker why would people want this card? Then he say, bro, it's metal when you put on the table, wow, your friends will be impressed. Then I'm like, bro, you don't know my friends.
I'm
Your
like,
friends
you
will
what
laugh
the
at
fuck?
you.
Why don't you put it in your phone?
Yeah, my friends will be like, why you don't put it to your Apple Pay, right? Like, so I was never in that. Yeah, I was never in that circle. Like, I can imagine if I was in an environment where buying these things is status quo. You just need to buy this and everybody is doing it. You feel that is the norm. I might just go into it because the environment is what changes your mentality, right? So I'm very lucky to have like basically brokey friends. That's my
And also, to be
summary.
fair, Josh, we did go through a phase of experimentation to figure out how to spend money to make us happy. Right? Like we did spend money on stupid things like buying an expensive bicycle. You spend money on a watch, you spend money on a Rolex, which I didn't know, and you realize it didn't.
I didn't buy a Rolex or I bought a Patek because I bought it for the next generation, bro.
It's for your kid. No, bro, tell yourself that. But we did go through an experimentation of like, hey, these are the like for the longest time I was obsessed with sitting business class, and then after sitting enough, I was like, okay. I can dare with economy class. You have to. I feel like personally, you have to go through the experimentation of having money and spending on things to realize whether you like it.
Yeah. My Patek still in the drawer. Like I wear it probably like less than 10 times. Like a bit heart pain. Now I'm just like, okay, it's for the next generation. Maybe shit, right? Like freaking bought into the marketing.
Yeah, into the marketing, right? What they are really selling. They're not selling a watch.
Yeah, bro.
They're selling legacy. I think maybe from this conversation alone, I didn't have a conclusion for that answer just now, but hearing from you guys, right, I would say yes, everybody have to kind of go through their own journey of basically buying stupid shit. But then the definition is what is the stupid shit, right? To some people, the stupid shit is Lambo. To some people, it's top-down branded, right? To some people, it's a Patek Philippe. I think that is something that all of us have to go through because it's hard to get it from somebody else's experience. And because we grew up in a world where, we were told, or at least I was told that having all this stuff is going to make me happy. I mean, the Singaporean thing, right? The whole 5C, the cash, the country club, the credit card, the condominium, right? Materialism is definitely in like Singaporean language.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
You watch all the shows in the past, all the last time of Jack Neal show, right? Like the money not enough.
Yeah.
It's all money, right? Because Singapore is that we are that kind of people. Yeah, so I guess like everybody has something they're convinced that certain material stuff is gonna give them happiness. Only after they have achieved that or bought that, then you realize, hey, actually, I don't really feel that happy. Maybe I felt happy for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So on this note, one of the best advice, but it's very contrarian advice that I've heard about this is you need to experiment with your desires, especially if you don't fully have the ability to afford it yet. What this means is if you think buying a condo is going to make you happy, most people, their approach is, okay, I'm going to save up 10 years, work freaking hard, save up for that condo, and then realize, shit, actually condo doesn't make me happy. But the way you should do is you should set aside budget to experiment with this desire, right? You set aside 3-6 months of your salary, go and rent a condo, right? See if that status make you happy. Go and rent a Lambo. It sounds financially irresponsible, but actually it is because you're experimenting with whether you're spending money to experiment with, when you get this thing, does it actually make you happy? Before spending your whole life working towards this thing that doesn't actually make you happy. That's actually more irresponsible. Intuitive, but in theory makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think nowadays I don't stop people from buying stupid shit. I just say that. Yeah, but I always remind them, like, you do you. Just remember that when you get all this stuff, you realize that it's actually it will feel meaningless, right?
Yeah.
And then,
These people will probably tell you like, whatever lah. You freaking got it already. Then you say these type of things.
But my hope is that when they actually got it, they'll remember what I said. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a moment of truth for you, because that's the moment you can decide whether you say, I told you so.
Because if
I
they don't
wanna
know,
go-
right? I think I realized that a lot when they do not know. Like for me, I didn't know it. So like when I felt empty, then the chase goes on. Like I reached a certain level, I wasn't happy. I'm like, okay, maybe I haven't made enough money. Then more money I make, then the more empty I feel. The more money more empty I feel. Right? I wish someone would have told me much earlier that this doesn't fulfill me. Yeah. So that's why I do it in a way that with as much compassion as possible. Just let them know, okay, when you get this stuff, it's not going to make you happy for a long run. So that at least they don't stop they don't keep chasing it forever. They just chase that small little, they get a bit of taste, and then realize that they remember some of the things that we say, or maybe they watch this podcast, right? And then they remember the things that we say. And then they go, if all this, people, multimillionaires are all like, not happy with like material stuff, then maybe I should stop chasing it.
Right. So if you could turn back time, right? You travel back to maybe your 19-year-old. You started at 16, right? At 19, you're like more or less there. You're a bit comfortable. What do you think you could have told your younger self to like make him realize this a bit earlier?
Wow, hard leh.
You're
Hard
too
leh.
deep.
I was too deep, man. So again, a lot of this is like from young wiring. It took me many years of like learning about myself again, why I behave the way I behave, to change my behavior. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, like a lot of it goes down to the significant part. I think when I was 19, I'm probably already high on significance. Yeah, I was on a high. I don't think anyone or anybody could have convinced me. Maybe they tell me earlier, then I would probably reach that conclusion faster. But at
So
that point of
Gabriel,
time,
it sounds like what happened is you convince yourself, right? So I want to bring you back to that moment when you were 21, 22. You had everything you wanted. You had, at the core of it, you had that admiration, that significance you wanted, right? Because people respected you, both status and your money. If you, and for our listeners, some of them are not religious, right? If you were to take faith out of the equation, what do you think really gave you that courage to break out of this? Because on one hand, you really had everything you desired, plus there's a lot of fear of getting out of it, right? There'll be people who you let down, the people who blame you, who'll be angry at you. What do you think other than faith, what do you think gave you the courage to be like, okay, I can't do something that is not morally aligned with me anymore?
I don't think I would have done it, or I could have done it without my faith. That was probably the only reason. Because, like you said, if I decide to leave, there's going to be a lot of repercussion. There's going to be a lot of pain. But in my belief, I believe that God has my back. That's the biggest difference. Like I recall, I was praying and I was telling God, I was telling Him that if I were to leave, do you have my back?
Right.
And again, I felt the pain. And I was like, okay, God, I'm going to leave this place. The rest is in your hands. I think it's just a moment of surrender. Because so recently I was actually learning that pride is actually self-definition. Self-definition meaning that what is pride, right? It's not just ego. It's not just arrogance. Pride is actually self-definition. It means you decide. I want autonomy over how I feel, whether I'm happy, how I feel peace. That means I want control. I do this, I get peace. I do this, I get joy. And that is actually the definition of pride. Self-definition. I decide. I define what is peace and what is joy to me. And that's why it's hard for people who are prideful to let go, because letting go requires surrender. Surrender means that you no longer are in control.
Right.
Okay. So that moment for me was that I surrendered things to God. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to face the repercussion, but the Bible says that all things work together for my good. So that was really a promise in the Bible that I just believed. I was like, okay, I let go. If I get all this, God, you have my back. Right? You're gonna work behind the scenes. I surrender this entire thing to your hands. So it was really that moment of surrender, man. I cannot take that out. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that is incredible courage.
Yeah.
What was the consequence of that? Because there is a moment of surrender, in theory, I understand. Then there's the aftermath you have to deal with. What's the consequence of that? What was it?
Well, first I lost my lifestyle. And then there was a couple of people I had to pay. Also, a few like more like family, friends, people that I kind of promised already. So I want to honor my word. And, I started taking some loans to pay some of them off. So I was also in debt.
You started taking loans to pay them off. Were you legally obliged? Like,
No. Some of them, no. Okay, I wouldn't say some of them, no. All of them, no, in a way, because I'm just a salesperson. But I don't know, I just felt like I felt responsible for them. In fact, I think some of it is maybe from shame and guilt. I felt bad in some
Right.
way. And maybe certain level of ego also, where I felt like, I want to handle it. But then later
Right,
I
like-
realized that there was no way I could have paid everyone because it was like millions of dollars or so. And I didn't stole the money. I didn't take anything, right? So why should I take it upon myself to try to clear everything out of my pride? But there was a few people I promised initially, so I paid them off. Yeah. So the repercussion was that I started having some clients or some of the people who invested, they were not really understanding of what was going through. They didn't care who took the money. They just know that they dealt with me, and so they want the money back from me. And then on the other side, I was posting on social media to warn people against my ex-boss. So I started speaking out against them already. Yeah.
right.
So the repercussion was that I got caught in the middle, where I started receiving death threat, very likely from my ex-boss, because I was speaking up against them. I would literally have like gangsters and you'll be surprised, Singapore, right? This can happen. I literally have gangsters outside my house. They would threaten me. And
What are they threatening you with? Like as in about? Like to ask you
they
to
say
stop
they will-
talking?
they say that they were hired to beat me. In fact, they even tell me to like pretend that I got beaten so that they can take a picture and they say if I don't pretend, then
Wait,
they
the
really
gangsters.
no. But they say that if I don't pretend, then they really gonna beat me. That kind of thing.
it's quite painful to beat someone up. Like, they do it for their own good.
Yes. So they just need a picture,
Knuckle
right? But of
poker.
course, I wasn't gonna do that, right? So then they started showing up my place, and then they will say like, I mean, you cannot connect it directly to my boss, but they will say something like, yeah, because of what you've been posting, you gotta be careful, that kind of shit. Then at the same time, those investors, they wanted their money back, so they started sending debt collector to my place. So I was really caught both sides. I have debt collector at my place. Sometimes got a gangster in my place. Yeah, it was quite sad. And those debt collectors, they are a way of trying to like get you to pay money is to also shame you. So they will put like posters around your neighbor's house and say, hey, your neighbor, this owe money, ask him to call me, like that kind of thing. Right. So
Right.
they are playing with that face, right? They're trying to want you to say face so that you will call them back or something like that. Yeah, so it was really tough.
And this was like the cost of like doing the right decision, which I cannot imagine the mentality or the mental stress that you had back then when like I made the right decision. Why are people not like understanding that I was also scammed? Like I was also a victim in this, right? Like I'm already doing my best. Like how did you like get through that period?
I think this might be related back to the surrender process, where in short term, okay, so again, this goes back to my faith, where like there are a lot of stories in the Bible where the people did the right thing, okay, and God is on their side. But usually when they do the right thing, they go through some kind of valley first.
Right.
So I was just encouraged by all these stories. Like there was this story in the Bible called someone called Joseph. Just a long story short, he was sold as a slave. He was not supposed to be a slave. But he did very well. He was a slave under this person called Potiphar, and he did his job so well that Potiphar put everything under his hand. But then the wife liked him. Okay, the wife of Potiphar liked him, and Potiphar is like captain of the guard. That means he's like some high rank guy. And the wife liked this guy called Joseph, like him, and the wife asked him to sleep with him, and he said no. So because of that, the wife got offended, and basically the wife then accused him that he tried to rape her. So then Potiphar sent Joseph to the prison. So he did the right thing,
Right.
but he was sent to prison. So there was a lot of story of characters in the Bible that went through something like that. That for the right thing, they were punished for it. But that's all short term, because eventually from the prison, that was when he met people. Then because of that, he then stand in front of Pharaoh, which is the king of Egypt back then, and he eventually became the so-called prime minister of the entire country, the second most powerful man after Pharaoh, right? So I think it was just those kind of promise where, okay, I'm going through this right now. I'm going through these Joseph moments.
Right.
God, you're going to turn things around for me someday.
So those
It's really
were the
just holding
stories.
on to the hope.
So those are the stories that gave you strength that, hey, there will be light at the end of the tunnel for doing the right. Even though you're getting punished for doing the right thing, there'll be light.
Yeah.
I
And of
wa-
course, in these moments, I also saw a lot of fingerprint of God. Like, for example, there was one day where I cannot explain this. Like, I was driving home and I already felt like something was off. okay? Like there was maybe something inside me, could be God, right? I don't know. Like there was something inside me that felt like something's off, and there could be people outside my house. So I made a call to the police first. You don't usually do that, right? Because I'll get in trouble if there's no one at my house, right? But the problem with Singapore police sometimes is that it takes 40 minutes for them to arrive. I don't know if
So
you ever
long?
tried to call police
Right,
before. Yeah,
right. I never knew.
yeah.
Now I
If
know.
someone is fighting, you call. It can take them a long time to arrive. I think they have a certain protocol. If let's say they will ask you like, anyone hurt yet? If no one is hurt, right, they will take their own sweet
It will
time.
take your time.
Yeah. So
I'm hurt on the inside.
I knew that if I reach home, then I call the police, it will be too late. So I called first, and by the time I reach home, there were really people outside my house. There were like 8 people outside my house. Then just nice the
Right.
police arrived, okay, and the police basically caught them. And I think and then they gave me a letter saying that they I think they were charging them for mischief or something like that. They couldn't link it to my boss, of course, right? But it was then the threat stopped.
Right.
So there were a lot of moments like this that just made me believe even further that okay, God is doing something.
Right.
Yeah.
And Gabriel, back then you made this very courageous choice. You were in the pits yourself. Who else do you think was most hurt or damaged by this decision?
Who else was most hurt?
Who's the person, or rather, who's the person you care about that's most affected by this?
I don't think there was someone that I think back then I was really a selfish person. As much as you guys say that like I had the courage and all that, I honestly was just throwing it to God. Like, I was like, I don't know what to do. Just take it away from me. I don't know if that's courage or not, but to me it was just I was desperate. I had no other choice, and I don't because back then I mean again I don't have any siblings, and my mom back then she already passed away, and probably I mean my dad left, but I never really had a very good relationship with my dad. But I still felt like okay, no, it's still a responsibility for me to take care of him. Perhaps that was the only thing that maybe like a regret where I couldn't, because that was also the last few years of my dad's life. And I couldn't like really give him a really good life in his last few years. Already spent a lot of time with him because I was spending time trying to rebuild everything, trying to clear my debt. I cannot just tell the bank and say like, hey, y'all stop collecting money from me for a few years, so that I can spend time with my dad, right? So yeah, I don't think in terms of like affecting people I care, I'm not sure. Maybe more like just my dad. Yeah.
So while going through this whole crazy period, was there like a day where finally like, okay, clean slate, what do I do next? Like, how was that process? Like, was it like you clear everything through whatever means, or you knew that you needed to do something right now amidst this chaos, and like you found what to do next?
So yeah, back then I was I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just trying a few business, and a lot of them failed. But
And
I
this
knew
was during the whole debt collector era,
yeah,
like
this is a whole debt
phase.
collector era.
Right. And you were trying to find another like skill, like another business to build. Okay. Okay.
Another business, something that I can do. But I knew one thing, back then a lot of people try to recruit me to MM again because they know I was a leader, so they probably can recruit me to somewhere. But I recall there was this, I was like, back then it was very tough. Honestly, like it was good money, but it was also very tough. Like I was meeting 10 people every day, appointment, I was like presenting the same presentation every day, say the same joke every day, laugh at my own jokes every day. And then after that, I still have to motivate people, because it's like team building, right? In MLM, I have like 500 active agents. Then I have to like I'm a counselor also. I have to freaking listen to their, their girlfriend breakup, their mother, their father. I was like, man, I don't want to go through this anymore, man. So
Right.
I mean, of course, like back then I didn't know the term, but in short, I was doing a lot of one-on-one. There was no leverage in one-on-one. And I wanted to do something that's one to many, right?
Okay.
And this was also the kind of like the early days of like internet marketing, right? Oh, you can create a sales letter and you just put it there and people will buy your shit. So that kind of attracted me, right? Doing webinars, right? Because webinars is like one to many. So for some
what
reason,
makes you that period is webinars like new? Like is it like brand new? Like
brand new.
underpriced attention type. Like
Yeah,
nobody see it. Like if you see it, it's like, oh my god, like what is this?
Yeah, because I was like watching a webinar. Then it was like I recall it was this webinar where it was teaching me like how to make income from Instagram, because back then like Instagram was like the new thing, right? So it's like some Instagram money making opportunity. So that I signed up the webinar, and then I was listening to the
You choose
webinar.
the right hashtags, sir.
Yeah. I forgot what was it already, but I was listening to the webinar. I thought it was live, and then towards the end he started selling. Right, started selling. The link dropped, and then it was like a program that I have to buy $300. But then something made me realize it's actually not a live record. It was not a live webinar; it's a recorded webinar. Yeah. So I forgot what.
So that was when your
realized
one-to-one and one-to-many like brain like kicked in.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god,
Yeah,
you
I was
thought
like,
it's one-to-one, but it's actually one-to-many.
Yeah, I was like, this guy is making passive income, man. Like he's like
Oh, yeah,
automated webinar, and he made me buy. Because okay, there's another thing about me where whenever I get sold something and I get excited for something, I like to question myself. What happened? Why was I sold? Right? What gave me the excitement? I don't know why. Maybe I'm wired this way. I always ask whenever I'm buying something and I'm sold something, I will try to deconstruct what happened. And so this was the process of like me deconstructing that process. Like, how do I set up this webinar myself?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I think that's a common trait that a lot of entrepreneurs,
Right.
myself and Josh, into that. Like,
You
you
guys
guys
see
like
that?
that, kind of our conversation.
All
We
the
brought
time, bro.
something
I walk
like-
into a restaurant, I start counting how many people are there. Then I assume multiply by dinner and lunchtime. Then I see the rental on Property Guru. Then I'm like, this business probably die.
But okay, where did it come from? Is it out of curiosity? Like, where did it come from for you guys?
I think, at least for me, it's after it didn't come naturally. It's after a few years running a business. Then I blame it on my own shiny object syndrome. Basically, I'm trying to find new shit to do, right? And in order for me to find new good shit to do, I need to go around and see what other people doing. Yeah. So instead of like just looking like, oh wow, this restaurant popular, I'm like, how much money are they really earning? Because like I think I've met enough people where on paper you look like you are doing extremely well, at the back you're all making losses. Right, so like I wanted to kind of understand like businesses to like more on the core level. What are they like? Profitability to us is more important because we are wired to be bootstrapped, right? Like, so we are not running the VC route. Yeah, so then I think that started to open up eyes to start to look at different things. It's a bit like you. If you attend a webinar, you'll be like, oh my god, why did I click that ad? What was good about that ad? How did I, like, what was the registration process look like? What were the words that they use? Let me try and copy it, right? Like, because it convinces you and you think you're a smart guy. You think you're smart. You don't fall for these type of things, bro. But you did.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. You know, the funniest thing was that, last time there was all of those like Forex scams. So it's like those VSL. It's like, this Forex trading machine is gonna, has made how many millionaire, So then it's like some, sales center. Then I will watch it, right?
It must look like it's made from Microsoft Word with word art.
Yeah,
The font must look like it's made from word art with like pink font, size 40 kind of.
Freaking horrible.
Yeah. I was like, I knew it was a scam, but then I was like, why, when I watch it, right, I start to believe in it. I started to believe in it. I was like, what's going on here? So I would literally save down all these videos, right? And I would like try to transcribe it and try to deconstruct why they say this sentence, why they say that sentence. So it began. So this was a process of me like learning more about internet marketing, digital marketing, running ads, and then it became like an agency.
Right. Bring us through that point in time, right? So you were 500K in debt. You discovered a few of these causes that you found fascinating. How did you make the connection and turn this into a business? What were the first 3 things that you did that make this concrete, right? Because a lot of people go through this process of like, this seems interesting, maybe I can do this, but then it becomes a folder on their desktop, right? It never became anything real. What were the next 3 things I did that made this really real?
I think it was the people I meet. I started meeting people, and for some reason, I was placed among a lot of like seminar people. People were like who were doing seminar, course sellers and all that. So that was my origin, where I noticed that a lot of them were like struggling to put butts on seats. Yeah, so they have an event, they just need to put butts on seats. I think when I was learning all this, I just thought to myself, okay, why don't I try creating some Facebook ads and see whether I can feel it. Yeah. And so I made this offer. Initially, it was like even for free. I just wanted to see whether it works. It was just a curiosity thing. Like every time I learn something new, I like to just go and try it, tinker it, like just play around with it. And the best way to do it is like sometimes just do it for free, and ask for like a testimonial later. So I literally did a few for free. Then I realized, actually quite easy there, because back then it was quite simple. Just an image ad, then just write a landing page. I still remember I had to like learn how to do the WordPress myself. A bit of HTML to change the color of the headline. I guess it's being resourceful. And then after that, it's like I learned already, I just want to try. So then I started realizing, I can put people on butts on seats. And then I started counting that when I put butts on seats, they're making money. Right? Because if let's say I fill the room with like, back then it was very small, 50, 100 people, and the closing rate was like a course, a program, 997 or 1997, and it's like 10% of people buy. I was like, this is making good money, right? The ads they pump in, and then, and then the sales that come from it. And I think this was also like the moment I realized that selling information back then, right, was one of the lowest cost, highest margin business.
Yeah, even now.
Yeah, even now. But then margin is a lot more competition now.
Right.
And with AI, all that is a bit harder. But back then was like, wow, I was like, hey, this is probably a good cash cow to like gain cash quickly. Okay. At the later stage, then I realized that there are many different type of business. There are some business that's cash cow business. There's some business that's more like a growth scalable, but you're gonna burn for a period of time, or maybe like you're gonna eat ramen noodle for a period of time. But there's some business that you can like instantly bring in cash in. Yeah, and a lot of that is service business or info business, service business, coaching business, basically high ticket. So that kind of got me exposed to the high ticket business, and I started putting butts on seats. And people started to spread that, hey, there's this new guy called Gabriel who is putting butts on seats for seminars. So then just one thing led to another. I started getting a lot of deals, and some of the deals are like profit split or rev share.
So the way you got into it is you started by, there's this thing that you're interested in, and you started offering these services for free. And that helped you both gain credibility and figure out the economics of how these work.
I guess even until now, like recently I think it's just a curious thing. Like I like to build stuff, or like, I like to create stuff.
Right.
Like frameworks,
in
for
this
example.
particular domain, right? And in this particular domain of high ticket selling, right? What made you so good at it?
I think I was just obsessed over like every micro details of like for example, why are they not clicking on this ad? Because a funnel is a few stages, right? In the ad level, why are they not clicking on this? If they're clicking in, they are interested. But when they reach the landing page, they're not signing up. So then it's like, why are they not signing up? And then after that, they turn up. If they turn up, the psychology is that you won't register for a webinar, put it in your calendar, right? Travel all the way to a place you don't know, right? And sit there for 2 hours without wanting something. But then you didn't buy it. So to me, it's like, why? So I guess it's that obsession, that why question constantly, like for each step of the customer journey. Like, why are you stuck here? Why are you stuck here? You obviously want something. If not, you won't click on the ad. You obviously want something. If not, you won't register for this webinar, right? You obviously want something, because if not, you wouldn't have shown up for this webinar. What did I do wrong at that point of time? Right? What did I do wrong at that stage of the customer journey?
Right.
Is it how I sell? Yeah. Is it how I sell? Is it I'm not telling enough stories? Like, like what is it? Yeah. So I'm just obsessed with that kind of thing. Yeah. To me, it's fun.
Right. With every part of that interaction.
Correct. It's fun.
Yeah. I think Josh is very similar to when we were building the website, where I get very frustrated of like, why is it that when some designers design this website, there's this obvious part on, say, the buy button that's not obvious enough.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, if you have just the obsession of like keep asking why, what makes sense for the customers, what will make them go down the funnel and take the next steps, then if you keep asking that questions, the answers will come.
Yeah. People think that building a website is about the fonts and the colors and like the images, whether is it nice or not. But a lot of it is just trying to get your customers down the funnel. Like the goal is to get it down the funnel. Everything is used to support that. Right? There is no right color. There is no right font. Everything that you do there is just to try to push them down so that they can get more value out of the website, which eventually that they will buy. Yeah. And like I think we all also recognize, like, Gabe, you are kind of one of the top of this game back then on like high ticket sales, which is completely new to us, right? Completely new to us. And the very first time I saw funnels, I actually don't know what is it. I thought like somebody showed me click funnels and go high level. Then I was like, why? I'm a Shopify kind of guy, bro. Like, what is this? Like, why are people buying this? Right? So then when I start to like look at people doing webinars and all, I have this vague understanding of what a funnel is. Since you are the expert, share with me, right? Like if you strip away everything about a funnel, like what is a funnel actually trying to do that other sales channels are not doing that makes funnels so effective?
There was this quote that Russell liked to say last time. I suddenly forgot what was it. It was something to do with a confused mind always says no. Okay? A confused mind always says no. What a funnel does
Damn, I'm
is
gonna
that
steal that, man.
it breaks things down into small little micro steps. Like when you reach the landing page, what is the one thing you need to do? Sign up, lah. Right? There's one thing. That's why you don't see things like last time. Like one of the key, like biggest mistake I see when I was helping like people like real estate or financial planners, like their website will always have like, okay, they have a headline, right? Then they have a call me button at the top. Then they have their social media icon at the top. Like, what do you want me to do? Right? You want me to sign up? You want me to click on the socials? You want me to call you? What do you want me to do? I'm confused. I will say no. So that's the fundamental, I would say, like the principle or foundation of funnels. You break things down into micro steps. Okay.
Mm,
And you just move them from one step to another step, like a ladder for them to climb.
mm.
And that is proven to help increase conversion rate because I reach this step, yes or no, register or not. Okay, register. Next step, do I turn up or don't turn up? It's just like, then after that, when I reach the webinar, do I buy or don't buy, right? Like every step is just one decision. So as long as someone is confused, they will not buy.
Right. Right. And a lot of listeners, me myself, right? I've attended some of these webinars. I've actually attended some of the programs. And I don't know how to explain why. Sometimes it feels scammy. It feels high pressure. It feels unethical. And because you have done this for a very long time, right? Like, what do you think about funnels or info products that makes it feel this way?
Yeah, what do you think people misunderstand about it? And why does it feel scam?
I think there are two things. The first one is that sales is like money. It's neither good or bad, right? It's like people say money is evil. No, you can use money to build, right? Or you can use money to feed an addiction. Money itself is not evil or good. Same thing for sales. Sales is what? Sales is influence. But what's the difference between? I heard this quote, I think from Joko Win, the author of Extreme Ownership. He said, influence and manipulation is the same. Okay, influence and manipulation is the same. The difference is the intent. Influence is that you're influencing someone to make a decision or an action for their good. Manipulation is that you are influencing someone to make a decision for your own good, for your selfish reason. The tools are the same. The tools to manipulate someone and influence the same.
Right.
So unfortunately, these tools on how to sell, that there's a lot of scammers in this space, in the info space, who use these tools to manipulate people to buy. Okay. So I think that's one of the reasons why there's a negative connotation to it. Yeah. And
Right.
I think it's also the economics of things where I think initially it's easy to get people to sign up for stuff. Let's say you want to do a webinar. That's why I say it's much harder today. In order for me to get someone to sign up for a webinar, if I'm the only one running ads, you all know the economics of like how ad run, right? So like if there's nobody bidding for the same word or nobody bidding for the same interest, my ad cost is very cheap. So if my ad cost is cheap, it's much easier for me to make a profit. Right? Straightforward. But because info products barrier entry is so low, when you have, say, a niche, let's say like dropshipping, right? You will suddenly get 10,000 dropshippers who will try to sell a dropshipping course. Okay? And the only way to stand out, if you're running ads, to try to get people to click and try to get people to buy something, is to overpromise. Right? Is to one up
They start inflating their claims.
Correct. Is to one up the other guy. Right? Because how do I stand out from the guy? I'm selling the same shit. I'm selling dropshipper. So I start doing what? All right, let's buy a Ferrari, let's buy a Lambo. Let's show people my lifestyle, right?
Okay.
And try to get their attention to stand out. Unfortunately, these are associated with scammers' behavior. So
Gotcha.
I think that's one of the reasons.
I guess the problem, what you're saying is, hey, the tool in itself, right? Thinking about how to break down people's confusion and addressing that the tool in itself is neutral. The way it has gone wrong is that a lot of people, there are scammy people who use it mainly for their own benefits. And the other part is that they take the whole social proof idea to a very far extreme of, hey, I will sell the Lambo lifestyle. I will overpromise so I can get ahead. Right? So it's more of a bad intent, not a bad tool. Right. On this note, right, I want to help our listeners. Let's make this concrete. Help our listeners imagine what a funnel looks like. Right. So let's say Josh and I, we want to start out. We want to finally become course sellers. We want to start a course.
High ticket! No more cost of goods sold! Let's go!
You see a lot of meta ads. Josh and I want to start a course on how to build an e-commerce brand. How would you think about it? How would you help us? Let's explore how would you help us build a funnel for this.
Yeah. So I think first thing is like we will break it down in terms of the offer, like what is the core offer you're selling. And in this case, usually info product itself doesn't make the most money. The most money comes from the coaching side, some kind of one-on-one. That's the highest tier. So what we'll do for a funnel is that we will break down the offer into multiple tiers in order to sell the highest tier. So I basically call it the core offer. So your core offer is like, let's say your coaching, but let's say your coaching is like $30,000 and you run ads to get people to buy $30,000. That's a hard sell or a tough sell because it's like asking someone to marry you the first day you met them. The point is that you have like a high ticket and then you break them down into mini steps. So what are the mini steps? You want to be able to give them some value that either cost them nothing or they pay a bit of money for. Okay. Usually we'll break it down into different types of business, like for example, different types of model. So like for example, you are either selling a done for you or do with you in the high ticket. So you will create a sub product or another product called a do it yourself product. Okay.
Gotcha.
So you're just you're just repackaging information. So like, for example, if you are going to coach people how to start an e-commerce, and let's say it's an 8-week program or 8-week coaching, you will probably have step-by-step processes that is in your 8 weeks. These are information that you repackage, but now you repackage in a form of a book. That was it. Like, how did I get into this whole Russell Brunson stuff in the day? Let me see if I can get this. So that, like, okay, so this is one of his book, right? .com Secrets. So he was running a lot of ads to sell his book. Now, it can be in different forms. It can be like, okay, a free training video, right? It could be a $20
PDF.
online program.
Right.
In the form, like, the format can change. The idea is that you are just selling information for people to do it themselves.
Gotcha.
Okay, so here's the framework.
Sorry, just to go. The very first one, that free or cheap thing, it's already something that you can do it yourself. It's not like a lead magnet where anything to get your email. It is cemented in, this is your small little first step into my whole journey. Okay. So I cannot give like top 10 businesses to start in 2026. It's like no point.
Not much value in that. Nowadays it's harder. Like, these were the early days of like internet marketing. It used to work, but now it's like more like you repackage the same thing, because people will pay more money for the same content packaged in a different way. So, okay, Tony Robbins is the best example. If you buy his book, Awaken the Giant Within, okay, you read through the book, the entire system is there. How to change your behavior, how, understanding yourself, emotions and all that. It's all there, right? But it's in the form of a book. So you buy $20, you read the book, you're like, okay, this guy is legit. But in the book, it will say, hey, go for my Unleash the Power Within, a 4-day program, the firewalking one, right? So then you go to the program, and I can swear that when you are at the program, a 4-day program, right, Tony is literally reading word for word for the book. But you are willing to pay.
Format.
Yeah, different format. What is the format? The format is a live event, right? It comes with experience, freaking high-fiving people, and you get to see Tony, right? It's a concert. There's a lot of rah-rah, there's firewalking, right? But I
want to go one day, Damon. I want to go together. I never go before.
It's
I
quite
just
fun.
hear a lot of stories. Yeah.
Okay.
Tony
Tony Robbins
experimenting with desires, going for a Tony Robbins event sounds like one of those.
Yeah. Tony Robbins is probably like the king of info products in modern world.
Right.
If you think about it, he's actually selling info. Right. It's a book. You can get the information for $20, but why would you still pay $900 to his program? And then after that, got Date with Destiny, which is like $5,000 entry level. Then after that, got platinum coaching, right? Like, sorry, you have coaching, which is $2,000 a month. Then you have platinum, which is like $150,000 a year. Why? And if you go for all that, it's the same principle that you can find in a book.
So if I were to make it concrete if I were to make it concrete for someone, for let's say us, you start off with a core. Is this the right way to think about it? You start with a core idea, and then you think about different level of involvement that you can do with this core idea, different level of involvement from you as an idea provider that you can provide, and different formats. And then that forms your different level of offers. Is that how you think about it? Do you start by thinking about a core offer? Do you start by thinking about what a core product is? Do you start by thinking about what is the highest tier coaching? Or where do you think is the starting?
Yeah, so to build this, right, usually it's the reverse, which is the audience will see the cheapest product to the most expensive. But for you, you're doing it in the reverse. You're building the core product, because that is what we really want to sell. Then you create what we call a gateway offer. Gateway offer is just for people to have an entry level to kind of get to experience you, but experience you in a different way, in different format.
Right. It could be a Zoom call. It could be a boot camp. Like, just an entry way to end. Okay.
Right. So if you were to take it for us, our highest tier product might be, hey, a coaching program on how to build a 12 months coaching program on how to build a 8-figure e-commerce brand.
Yeah.
Right. That's the highest tier offer. Then from there, we reverse engineer to the smaller tier product. We might release an ebook. We might make a seminar. We might do a do it yourself course. We might create a community, and all of them have different price points that ladders up.
Yep.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Exactly. The idea is basically the principle is always give them some form of value first, right? And then, because when you give value first, you will gain their trust, and then that's where they will have a higher trust to be able to work with you on the higher level. It's like dating, right? And initially, if your first date is bad, then they're not going to go for a second date.
The main thing I'm taking away is one-to-many dating.
Your dating apps are considered one-to-many. You're able to swipe, left and right for a bunch of people.
So true.
Right? And then from there, you filter out, and then from there, it goes to 101, right? It's actually a funnel. Dating is a funnel.
So we have the offer. Then what is next? How do you think about the marketing of this?
Okay, for you guys, I think it's the most straightforward. to just kind of trial run this is, of course, have the core offer, that 12-month program, and then create like a free small short training, like a 20-minute training, okay, about what you guys do, and share a bit of your framework, and then you run ads to the free training.
Free training, okay.
So like here is a free training on how you can build a 7-figure e-commerce business in 12 months, for example. So that they opt themselves in, register themselves in to watch that free 20-minute training. At the end of the training, the call to action is to book a call with you.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the easiest way to start. That's the easiest way to start for any
So
high
we
ticket.
don't do all the boot camps and the rah-rah stuff lah. We just go straight lah.
Yeah, as in like that is one of the best way to start, because then you can validate whether people are even going to buy your final product anyway, right? Because if you create all the rah-rah stuff, then end up people are not going to buy the highest ticket.
Right.
Then we do all that for what?
Right.
So
Right.
free training straight to a seminar with a call with us to determine, hey, whether people are even willing to pay for this 12 months coaching, whether there's demand for this pain point.
That's your fastest way to test your core offer. Your
Yes.
core offer is not to test with all the in-between steps. You are trying to reduce as many steps in between. You
Compress
enter
it.
with the free and go straight into the core offer
Yes.
to see whether people will even pay or not.
Gotcha.
But this will hit, of course, a roadblock, but it's usually level 1. Yeah, you'll hit a block where you are trying to scale. Because you're not going to be able to take so many one-on-one calls eventually.
Yeah.
So then that's where you can kind of reinvent it by, maybe starting a bootcamp
coaching.
first. So
Gotcha.
because a bootcamp is one-to-many, right? Then
So
after
let's
the
say,
bootcamp,
let's say you validate that there's a demand for this highest end offer. What do you do next? How do you make it scalable?
so that's where you start to create products that has high leverage, doesn't require you, like again, like a book, because you just create one time, they just need to read the book. Then after the book, you're interested, book a call. Right? They're already self-convinced. As they're reading the book, they're already self-convinced. Okay? Or online program. They go through the program, right? They're self-convinced, but then, okay, you see, if you watch this if you apply the principles in this program, you will achieve XYZ result, right? But the problem is that you have to do it yourself. It's just like I sell you a fitness course, right? How to get 6-pack abs, but there's that side of like accountability that people may not have. So when you sell coaching, right? So it's like, can you get results without the coaching? Yes, you can. But if you get coaching, what are the chances that you can get more results than doing it yourself, right? So people are not buying information anymore. They are just buying different ways to apply the information. They're buying accountability. They're buying mastermind. Maybe it's a mastermind, other values that you have, right? Or they're buying mentorship. So like when they're stuck, they're buying time, right? They're buying their time back because instead of trying to figure out a bunch of stuff, they come to you, and because you guys are already in the game for so long, you guys can just tell, the website, fix this, fix that. They're going to save a lot of time. So this goes back to like our original question. I mean, our original topic at the beginning. What are they really buying?
So I can start an e-commerce brands to secure your kids' future.
You got to validate whether the market.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing here is, hey, the different level, the different tiers of the offer, one way to think about it is people are effectively buying the level of guarantee of success, right? Because if it's a do-it-yourself, if it's just a book, the guarantee of success is low. If I'm doing it for you, if I'm doing it with you, it's more expensive, but the guarantee of success is higher.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes it's also a value ladder, like even for people who cannot afford it. Like for example, when I first started, I was in debt, right? So when I read a lot of books, I read Tony books, I read like .com Secrets, for example. And when I read .com Secrets, I actually tried to apply the stuff in the book. And it got me some results. Do you know what I mean? Like it got me some results. I was able to make some money from that. And because I made some money from that, I decided to fly all the way to US, which is to attend like one of his event called Funnel Hacking Live. And guess what? At Funnel Hacking Live, he talks about all the things in the book. Right?
But
No, bro, I heard Funnel Hacking Live, like he's like friends with Tony Robbins. So Tony Robbins will come out and dance for a while and then upsell you to go to like
his coaching.
His coaching.
Yeah.
Like,
So
Tony
I bought the
Robbins
coaching.
course.
I bought the coaching. It was a hard decision because back then I didn't have that much money, and the coaching was like $30,000 US dollars.
Damn.
For 1 year. That means I still have to fly back to US like multiple times, and all the lodging I still have to pay on it. Yeah.
Wow.
But it was an awesome decision because then I realized that when I buy the program, guess what? When I go to the coaching, guess what they are teaching? The same thing in the book.
Right. But I guess because you're a business person, when you go there, you don't just do the coaching. You look at their business. You look at how they run. You look at how they hire, what the tiers look like. You get a lot more information, and then you can build it yourself here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
and there's the other part, the accountability part, right? Because there's skin in the game.
Mm.
The call, because they're all US people, right? I was the only Singaporean in the program, so they have like a lot of like those morning calls every week. They have a call, and the call is like freaking 4 a.m., 5 a.m. And I mean, because it's their timing, right? So like there'll be days that I wake up at like 4:30 to prepare for the call. I recall the alarm rang 4:30. I wake up. The first thought I have is not to attend the call, is to let's just give up this call today and go back to sleep.
Right.
Okay, that's my first thought. But you know what's my second thought?
This is expensive, bro.
I freaking paid $30,000 for
Yeah,
this. You know, I was like, get your ass up, $30,000. You know, like I gotta get up. Yeah.
So the secret to join the 5 a.m. club is to pay 30K for a course, bro.
I mean, let's see the game, right? This is the reason why there's some people who achieve result at the gym and some people don't. Because when you pay money, you're like, hey, I already paid it, I gotta go, right? I gotta go. Yeah.
Right.
So sometimes
If
it's
you
really just paying
pay for a
for
personal trainer, you would become fit.
Yeah. It's
Bro,
not. It's not
depends
like,
on your net worth, bro.
yeah, exactly. That's also
No,
the thing,
really.
right?
True. It should
You
be
need
based
to
on
lock in a percentage of your net worth. It's very different.
True.
I mean, that is why there is personal trainer that costs $70 per hour, and there's personal trainer that costs $500 per hour. Do you think that they teach the different things? Pretty much the same stuff.
Pretty much the same stuff.
Here's what I've not seen any personal trainer do, which is that I charge you more which is to pitch that I charge you more expensive and I lock in your money up front, but it's for your own good. I've never seen someone pitch it that way.
Actually, at scale, it was F45.
I actually paid that for one of my trainer lah.
Or did he tell you that pitch? That
no, he didn't tell me that pitch. I knew
if
that.
I'm a trainer, right? What I
again.
want is guaranteed income and consistency in income, right? If I can get people to prepay for 100 sessions, amazing for me. But if I'm a personal trainer, maybe I'll try pitching this. I'll be like, yo, the reason you should do is it will guarantee you get fit because you pay up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to run it based on the funnel. Yeah. If
but
directly
it depends on the
pitch,
audience also. You must have audience that they understand this. They know that they need to pay to be pain enough.
True.
Yeah, we always do more to avoid pain, right?
Yeah. Anyway, Gabe, thanks for today's session. I think this is incredible. We just have one last question for you, which we ask all our guests. It's, what do you think is the wrong lesson that people will take away from this episode?
I hope that people don't think that they are born a certain way, that we as entrepreneurs, we are born a certain way, and that's why we are who we are today. I hope that they don't take that lesson that way, that, okay, because I'm not born like you guys, I cannot make it. I think everyone can cultivate curiosity by asking more and more questions, because the more questions you ask, the more curious you become, because the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. It's like an effect, right? I don't know what the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? And it becomes addictive. So I don't want people to think that like, oh, just because we were born this way and that's why we are wired to be entrepreneurs. Like, no, I think curiosity is cultivated. It's actually even natural. Like, I have 2 kids today. They ask freaking a lot of questions. Everything why? Joshua, you understand this someday, right?
Do they ask you because they're curious, or do they ask you because they want to irritate you?
I think they're curious. I really genuinely believe they're curious, right? But what happens? Conditioning, right? Shut up, stop asking questions, because parents are irritated, right? And so that became a lesson to them that, okay, they shouldn't ask questions. So they grew up thinking that, I'm not a question person. But everybody asks questions.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Gabriel.
Thanks,
Honestly,
Gabriel.
it's been such a blessing to be able to meet you in 2025. Being able to see you and the journey that you go through, and knowing Zoe, and like knowing that all the lessons that you guys have taught us, I think it's incredible.
I remember when we first met, I was like telling Josh, Gabriel is different. He thinks different.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are fun. Likewise, you guys are really fun, by the way. You guys are really fun to hang out with.
Because we've met a lot of entrepreneurs who are like great entrepreneurs, but they don't have that streak of independent thinking, right? You are able to draw on a lot of different ideas from different domains and apply it to your way of life, to business. And I love entrepreneurs like that. We love entrepreneurs like that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
It was fun today.
Thanks, and that's the
Appreciate it.
pod.
Bye.
That's the pod. Bye.